Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Notes R.10. Today we're going to try and work a lot with mixed numbers, but before we begin, let's do a little review with some regular fractions with unlike denominators. So, for instance, when you had 2/3 and 1/4, you know the denominators are different, so we have to find common denominators. Notice they found the common denominator for you already, so then you just ask yourself what number times 3 gives me 12, and it's just multiplied by 4 on top and bottom. And then what number times 4 gives me 12, and it's just multiplied by 3 on top and bottom. So that gives me 8/12 over 3/12, and then your answer is 11/12. Circle it, move on to the next one. All right, same thing. 2/5, 1/3. I'm multiplying this fraction by 3 to get me to 15. That was my least common multiple. And I'm multiplying this one by 5 to get me to 15. And that gives me 6 over 15 times 5 over 15, which gives me, again, 11 over 15. Right? And then on, let's do one more. 1/2 and 3/8. Notice on this one, I am multiplying this denominator and numerator by 4. But I don't need to do anything to this one because it's already 3/8, and my least common multiple was 8. So I just got 4 over 8 plus 3 over 8, just keep the numerator the same. That gives me my answer of 7 over 8. Right? All right, now on to mixed numbers. So last year, Mr. Mason drove to Marquette, Michigan. It's all the way up here north in the upper peninsula of Michigan for a wedding. The drive was 6 3/4 hours long. Mr. Mason drove with friends and slept for 3 1/3 hours during the drive. How long was Mr. Mason awake during the drive? So if I slept 3 1/3, I must have been awake the rest of the time. So I'm going to subtract these two. So I've got 6 3/4 minus 3 1/3. And when I subtract mixed numbers, it's usually a good idea to write them vertically. So I'll rewrite it like that. And I find common denominators, right? So if I got 4 and 3, the multiples 4, 8, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm just going to multiply by the opposite denominator here to find my least common multiple of 12. And so they become 6 9/12 versus 3 4/12. And when you are subtracting mixed numbers, you subtract the fraction parts and then the whole number parts. So 9 minus 4, that's 5/12. And then 6 minus 3, that's just 3. So 3 5/12 hours, right? So a little bit more than, less than half the trip, right? All right, next one. I went to Boston College, BC, but I like Notre Dame ND football. BC lost to ND last year 49-20. Not this weekend, sorry, last weekend. These are some of the BC football players. Number 77, he's a big guy. He's 6 foot 7 inches tall. Let's pretend we write him like 6 7/12, right? Number 82, he's not that tall. It's this little guy right here. He's only 5'8". Let's pretend we write the fraction for him as 5 5/6. How much taller is 77 than 82? So that phrase, how much taller than, should let us know that we are also subtracting here. So let's do 6 7/12. Again, good idea to write this vertically, minus 5 5/6. All right. So got to find least common multiple. Notice the least common multiple is 12. So all I got to do is times 2. All right. That gives you 6 7/12 minus 5 10/12. Now we run into a problem. The problem is I can't do 7 minus 10, right? That's going to give me a negative. So this is where borrowing comes. And I'm going to borrow 1 whole, and what 1 whole is determined by my denominator, right? So if I borrow 1 whole, this becomes 5 12/12 plus 7/12, right? The 1 whole that I borrowed is a fraction of 12/12. I add it, and that now becomes 5 sorry, let me get rid of that so you can see it again. 12 plus 7 is 19/12. So yes, that's an improper fraction, but now I can subtract. So 5 minus 10/12. Sorry. Right, and I can do 19 minus 10, that's 9. I keep the denominator, and then 5 minus 5 is 0. So it's 9/12, and then all I got to do is simplify that, right? So simplifying 9/12, divide both by 3, and I get my answer of 3/4 inches taller, right? All right, real quickly, if you look on the back side, we've got some practice problems. I'm going to do one with you, and then we're going to kind of do like we do with task cards. We're going to work in partners and try and get as many points as possible. So you're going to show all work. You can use calculators to double check your math, but 6 3/4, 3 4/5, it's just multiplying by the opposite denominator. Times 4 times 4. Once we do that, we should have common denominator, so 6 15/20 plus 3 16/20. Add it up, we get 9 31/20. This is a problem because the 31/20, we can get another whole number out of that, right? That's an improper fraction. So 20 goes into 31 one time with 11 left over. So really we have 1 11/20 plus our original 9 wholes, and that gives us 10 11/20. So this whole section will be working with mixed numbers, but then your answer will give you a whole number with an improper fraction that you'll then have to add another whole number on, right? And then this last section, subtracting, notice we already have the common denominators, but we're going to have to actually borrow. So just like we did in that last problem. So if I'm borrowing one whole, the whole number becomes 13. The denominator tells me how much to borrow here, so that's plus 7/7 plus 2/7, which then becomes 13 9/7, because 7 plus 2 is 9, right? Now I can subtract 5 4/7, right? And I had to do that right off the bat because I can't do 2 minus 4, right? But now I can do 9 minus 4, right? So 9 minus 4 is 5/7, and then a 13 minus 5 is 8 5/7, all right? So go ahead and begin working. You'll work in partners. You'll come up and show me your answer. I'll give you the point if it's right. I'll tell you to go back and work something if it's wrong. Again, you can use calculators to double check your answers, but show all work. That's it.